Counterfeit Evotech Performance accessories are on the rise, and unfortunately, we've seen hundreds of cheap Evotech copies being sold on sites like AliExpress, mainly from suppliers in the Far East, with unsuspecting customers being ripped off and left out of pocket. The problem is, a lot of counterfeit Evotech accessories look so similar to our genuine parts that some customers can't tell the two apart. We called on two racers who know how that feels, twins Tim and Tom Neave, for our latest Racer to Maker video. We supported the brothers in their racing activities for several years. They're both awesome on the track, but who will be the real deal on the factory floor?
Our first introduction to working with Evotech was probably in 2018 when we was running our own team, just me and Tim, and we had Guy Martin helping us, supporting us, and I stepped up to Stock 1000 and Tim was in Supersport, and yeah, we started to get a few bits and bobs for the bikes. Well, it was like opening presents on Christmas Day. The way that every individual product is wrapped. It's all eco-friendly, everything's recyclable, so well presented. Well, my experience was the polar opposite, to be fair. It was a cardboard box that literally looked like it had come from the other side of the world. It was tatty, just covered in the brown tape, with all the parts just jiggling inside. And when I opened it, everything was damaged. I mean, everything's scratched.
It was all marks and everything.
Nothing's individually wrapped. It's all touching each other.
It's all chipped, isn't it?
Obviously, it has come from China or wherever it's made, and it's rattled to hell. And yeah, it's not in a good state at all. The vital missing component was the instruction manual. So I got these load of parts, and they're not exactly the easiest bits to fit. Some of them are quite a complex design, and you're working on complex bikes, and every bike's different. It's not just a case of 3 bolts and on you go. You've got to take all the bits off and replace bolts with longer bolts, and I didn't have a clue which bolt goes where, different washers, everything's slightly different size. It doesn't even give you a left-hand side and a right-hand side indication, so it was just a minefield, a complete minefield. And
not to mention the bolts were agricultural, something you'd probably fit on a plough or something on the farm.
Yeah, and we've been around bikes a few years now, and I wouldn't say I'm really clued up, but I've got a bit of an idea how to work on a bike. But I was scratching my head, to be honest with you. I'd have been struggling. For me, it was a doddle really. You just go onto the Evotech website and type the model of your bike in, and it loads up the instruction manual, and it shows you how to not just mount the product, but even how to unclip all the difficult little clips on the fairings, which on a road bike are really tricky if you've never done one before. So yeah, it's just step by step, which you've learned, and yeah, it was just a pleasure really. When you're following someone and you know you're doing it thoroughly, it's enjoyable work, isn't it? So Tim's ended up rounding bolts and all sorts. And well, you actually managed to get your product on solid. Mine was sort of having to bend itself to get it on. It just not
even that. Like the weight difference is massive. That's a solid chunk of iron, I reckon. Whereas this is aluminium and nylon.
And it's not just a weight saving thing. It's a shock absorbing mechanism. This solid alley bolt on is just going to put the force straight into the chassis and do more damage to your bike. At the end of the day, in competition, you need full faith in what your machinery and what's underneath you. So yeah, I think that's testament in itself, really. The performance bikes, why on earth would you go and bolt something cheap on it and drag it down? It's just, yeah, I want to be working with the best, don't we?